Okay, Walker, what happened today?
Well, it's actually what's happened over the last 3 days. So if you guys have been following on LinkedIn, you may have noticed after Digital Factory last week, a bunch of people reached out to me on LinkedIn. All right. So right now, if you have looked at my LinkedIn page, there was a post I did on Sunday, whatever day is today, September 16, 17, and Erich Barnstedt had made a reference to Steve Jobs' famous response to a OpenDoc developer from the late 90s when Apple decided to abandon OpenDoc, and a software engineer basically asked him a leading question and Jobs eviscerated him. And it was centered around, Jobs basically started out by, you can please some people some of the time, and then he went into a classic evisceration, which is kind of funny because what Erich Barnstedt was trying to do in that post was he was basically combating my criticism of an earlier post where he talked about UNS hype. Some of the claims that he made in the his post was that OPC-UA has been a unified namespace since 2015, okay, which is fucking preposterous, obviously, okay. So I responded to that post from Erich, and I guess you probably want to know why. All right. So last week at Digital Factory, a former teammate of Erich's came up to me and confirmed some things I had heard from other teammates of Erich's at Microsoft. And that was that the team knew that OPC-UA would not scale across an enterprise. Okay? Erich basically jumped on the OPC-UA bandwagon in 2016 at OPC Day Europe, basically saying that OPC-UA is in millions of devices and that it scales and that it can be the foundation of an enterprise architecture. He was full of shit then. He's full of shit now. Why am I being hard on him? The reason I'm being hard on him is because Erich is a world-class architect. Okay, I've had an open invitation to Erich Barnstedt for 3 years to come on our podcast and debate me on infrastructure for IIoT. He has demurred. By demurred, I mean he has been hiding. Today, he made a passive-aggressive post in reference to my response to UNS hype from earlier in the week. In that, I replied to that passive-aggressive post, and I basically said, Erich, you're full of shit. You are actually lying. You're trying to rewrite history. How do I know he's trying to rewrite history? Microsoft has abandoned OPC-UA as a foundational IIoT architecture. In 2016, I said it wouldn't scale. In 2017, I said it wouldn't scale. In 2018, I said it wouldn't scale. And I've said it wouldn't scale all the way up until 2023. Why have I been saying it wouldn't scale? Because I tested it myself in 2012 on the largest standalone SCADA system in the world, and it didn't scale. Okay? Erich refused to listen. He refused to listen to me. He refused to listen to his own teammates, and he cost thousands of people their jobs. And now he's trying to rewrite history on LinkedIn. He's trying to say that OPC-UA has been unified namespace since 2015. It is not. I am the architect who developed unified namespace in 2005. I am the architect who won a Firebrand Award in 2012 for the largest standalone SCADA system in the world, built with a unified namespace. If anybody would fucking know that OPC-UA is unified namespace, it is me. The reason I'm being as aggressive as I am in this post is because today I received a direct message from Erich saying that I violated a Microsoft non-disclosure agreement by posting the facts and the details, counterpointing his post. OPC-UA is not UNS. Moreover, he already knows that. Microsoft has a reference architecture that limits OPC-UA to L2, so that is L1 and L2. They have added in some new technology that's going to do self-discovery on the edge. I'm going to leave all the names of the technology out, and pending, I've asked Erich to send me proof that somehow I am bound by a Microsoft non-disclosure agreement. Okay, he just sent me a threatening direct message. Actually, a really douchey direct message. Okay? why am I being so hard on Erich? I'm being hard on Erich because he fucking knows better. His team has told him OPC-UA doesn't scale, and he wouldn't come off that fucking horse. You want to know why? Because in 2016 at Europe OPC Day, he got up in front of the whole Azure team and he told them that OPC-UA would scale after he was convinced by one of his own team members. Clearly, he didn't do any fucking benchmarking. Okay, it is the sunken cost fallacy. All right, now what Erich Barnstedt is trying to do. He's literally trying to prep the market to say that, well, OPC-UA can scale, but we're going to add this other technology on top of it. All right. In the last week, I've had an opportunity to view what terrible leadership in industrial automation looks like on stage. I have been able to read with my own eyes on LinkedIn what terrible leadership in industrial automation and IoT looks like. R.E. Erich Barnstedt. Let me say this. I'm sure Erich Barnstedt's a great guy. I'm sure he's got a great personality. I have nothing personal against Erich Barnstedt. But if what you're going to do is make decisions that will cost people jobs, I have a moral obligation for an audience of 70,000 fucking people to call you out. All right? What I'll say is this, last but not least. There's an open invitation to Erich Barnstedt to come onto our podcast. If you are so confident that you are a world-class architect, come on the podcast and prove it. If you are so confident that I have to resort to personal attacks because I can't back up my architecture, come make me look like an idiot on the podcast. If you're really smart and I'm full of shit, you will expose me in front of tens of thousands of people. At the end of the day, if you prove to me that I'm wrong, I'll come off my position. Unfortunately, I'm not. All right. Like, subscribe, comment down below, share this post with somebody who might find it valuable, and I'll see you in the next one.